Welcome to A Rock's Life. This is called bandwagoning. Which, normally has a negative connotation, but, if you break it down, a bandwagon actually sounds like a lot of fun. Who wouldn't want to be on a bandwagon? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be on a bandwagon. This is a tier list. Yeah, I know memes. I'm not that old. And look at it. It's beautiful. Stole that right off the internet. And we're going to tier, I suppose, the one subject I know anything about, which is 90's adventure games. And so I have collected all of the ones, or not even, but most of the ones that I've played. So there will be some things missing, and you'll go, where's Sam and Max? Sam and Max is great, and I've never played it, though I've heard it's good. So there's some of those. I might point them out as we go if something I notice isn't obvious. So I'm just going to pick these randomly and we'll see what we get. So the first one is Myst. Myst is interesting. That was kind of it was 3D. It was polygonal, so it's somewhat different than the rest of these. I put the first Myst. Look, if you play the first Myst just as is, like in the original, I want to say, but you wouldn't have played that in DOS because it was 3D, so they must have had their own launcher for that. It's kind of a pain. Actually, it's a big pain. Because it's all mouse move, as far as I remember. And then, because it's frustrating. That said, there is a new version of it on Steam. It was remastered, and the remastered version does fix a lot of things, and it comes with a hint section in the game, which is quite dandy. So, Myst is just a solid entry. I'm gonna put that in B tier, but I could see it in A as well. Honestly, Myst is just an all-rounder. Let's see. Shadow of the Comet. Alright. Yeah, lots of people probably haven't played Shadow of the Comet. Shadow of the Comet kind of came after that Alone in the Dark period where... And actually, I want to say it's also by Infogrames. Okay, yeah. There we go. Thanks Wikipedia. So it was published by Atari SA, but Infogrames Europe did work on it. So there you go. Which, because it's the same, it's like a Lovecraftian dealio, again, very similar to Alone in the Dark. But the thing about it is it's really, really funny. That's another solid B for me. It's not a great horror game, neither is Alone in the Dark, but they're both great, sort of semi-dark comedies, and that's going to be a reoccurring theme among these adventure games. Let's see. The Curse of Monkey Island. I'm not the biggest fan of it, which is, sort of hearsay, because I get that it's good. Personally, it's good, but it's not... See, already this list is just offensive, because I'm putting Monkey Island on the same freaking peg as Call of Cthulhu, but that's generous of me, is what you have to understand, because I'd put it in C tier if I wasn't gonna get beat up about it. I'm not a fan. It's a good game, but thematically, the silly pirate thing just doesn't do it for me, honestly. And also, and this will be a reoccurring thing in this as well, but I'm really not a fan of the verb coin. I'm not. 2-click interface is fine. I don't mind a right-click interface either. I don't even mind a text parser, but the verb coin tends to drive me up the wall a little. Sorry, Monkey Island, but it is good. Other people will tell you that. Loom is fantastic. That's also LucasArts, so there you go. Loom is one of those. It's one of those games are art games, where it's it's just good. It looks fantastic, especially at the time, but even now, it's just some great pixel art. On top of just its own puzzle, just mechanics fairly entirely. It's all based on music and sound, and it's a lovely experience. Loom is great, A tier. There you go. Let's see. The Dig. The Dig is interesting. The Dig is it's very narrative heavy in a lot of ways. You know, in a lot of these adventure games, kind of ride or die. Is that an expression? Live or die, I guess. Live or die on the writing, and Dig's writing is good. Dig is also quite hard. If you just sit down and try and do it, it can be a bit of a pain in the. So I don't know. It's a good story. Another B. I'm just gonna have the B go all the way. I'll change all these to B's. There you go. That's my tier list. Freaking Seventh Guest. Ew. Seventh Guest is kind of a bastard. It's one of those FMV ones, and I really like FMV. But first of all, Seventh Guest doesn't really have much gameplay, as many FMV games really don't. And on top of that, it is just one of the more muddy and confusing games. I like. When I'm recommending looking at some of these old games, I wouldn't recommend Seventh Guest. If you pass it, you're not missing anything on that. You'd have to be really interested in this business to take it. Beneath the Steel Sky. That's an easy A. Beneath the Steel Sky, I want to say, is based on a short story. Alright, I just googled it. Apparently it's not. I must be thinking of freaking I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, which that's obviously... We'll get to that. That's obviously based on a short story. I guess Steel Sky was an original IP when they did it. Anyways, it is a great story, so that's why. That must be why I even had that thought in the first place. That one also, I believe, runs a verb coin, but it's really just the story that it's worth playing for, so. Absolutely. What else do we got here? Phantasmagoria, easy S tier for me. Phantasmagoria is awesome. The soundtrack is fantastic. Okay, that it's just this sort of, it's got like a real 80s vibe to it, honestly. FMV, freaking amazing casting and acting throughout the entire thing. And then, I mean, the twist about Phantasmagoria is it's Roberta Williams, like, supposed to be a horror game, but in reality it's like this weird sort of like mom fantasy comedy kinda. It's hilarious. It's one of the funniest games you'll ever freaking play. Like, you can just sit down, open it up, and just laugh out loud. Freaking Jesus. It is just awesome. Give me that drain cleaner. Okay. Space Quest. This counts for the whole series. Oh, and I should say, I guess for Phantasmagoria 2, I've never played it. I've heard it's okay. Space Quest is odd. You know, the first two use the text parser, though I believe you can play in the updated engine differently, or at least it pauses when you type. Might depend on the version. I want to say there's a collection though where you can play them all on the mouse. I'd have to fact check that. The point is, they vary a lot. That's the point. I mean, 1 and 2 are okay, but they're kind of 3's got stuff. 5 is stupid. 5 is the dumbest, kinda, because it's got the meta stuff. 6 is ambitious. 4, it's okay. You know, it's a very... Again, like I said earlier, it's a lot of quantity over quality. There are good bits of Space Quest that either make me giggle or are, like, actually kind of interesting, but... Especially 5 is just poison. It's just awful. Some of those mini games are just semi-moronic. Police Quest is a different story. Also Sierra, and also for the whole series. But that is an interesting game because it's a police procedural video game. And it's just the gameplay. The gameplay isn't very fun. Especially you have to like drive around in your cop car and like look for stuff, and it's not well designed at all. So it makes it a tough recommendation because yeah, it's an interesting game, but it's ours to play. You're better off watching a video, a let's play or a long play. And I mean, it's got to go. I put it in C, but it's got to be higher than Space Quest. I'm gonna do something brash. Space Quest goes down to D because of Space Quest 5. Oh, sorry, Phantasmagoria. Police Quest. Come on. Police Quest is gonna go C. Alright. Quest for Glory. I've never played it. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is good. A tier. The short story is even better, to be honest with you, but I don't want to get into a book is better than the movie thing. Darkseid is fantastic, S tier. I actually love Darkseid for the same exact reason that I love Phantasmagoria. And look, with this account, Darkseid 1 is okay. It's actually not all that interesting. Really. It's got H.R. Giger Counter, Giger Artist, I think. Or is it? It's not Giger Counter, it's Geiger Counter. So Giger Artist. It's got H.R. Giger work in it, which, he's good. But Darkseid 2 is, in the same way as Phantasmagoria, it's supposed to be a sort of, like, weird horror game. But it's just hilarious. And it's got FMV stuff again. It really, those two go together perfectly up there. Because they're just like two of the funniest video games that you can play. Featuring legendary protagonist Mike Dawson. It's just a good time. Let's see. Got a Tex Murphy series. The picture I picked for it is Overseer, but you're probably better off playing like Under a Killing Moon. Tex Murphy's good. Those are games that are funny because they're comedies, not games that are funny because they've been just butchered in some horrible way. All in all, I mean, the classics are a bit hard to play. They're impossible to get working. You gotta buy them through like GOG or something. But even then, they're a bit of a pain to play for. Usually pretty decent writing. Under a Killing Moon is the one I'd recommend. Or also, if you haven't played any of them, honestly, there was a 2013 remake that I do recommend. That I think was quite good. So I'll put it in C because it's a bit of a mixed bag for me. But some people would put that quite higher, so consider that a hesitant C, B. But Normality, that's good. Normality's awesome. It is just abysmally awful to play and to listen to and to look at. But it is also like profoundly spiritual in some way. It's easily an F because just every single aspect of what might be considered a video game in it is just either dreadful or not there at all. It's terrible. It really is. Only play that if you are like if that description made you go, that sounds interesting. Then go ahead. Otherwise, that's Gremlin. And that was that's the thing. That was Gremlin software. They didn't have to make that. They're better than that. They had better games. Okay, yeah, no. That's what I thought. Gremlin Interactive and Gremlin Graphics, as I said, they changed at some point. I'm not going to look through all that. They've made like Thing on a Spring on the Amiga, and they made, as we'll see, one of the better adventure games on this list. So they didn't need to do normality. Like, that was a thing that happened because of, I presume, some sort of curse or something. Freaking Jesus. What is this? Oh, yeah. I almost forgot this. I was like, I'd put this together, and then I realized that there were no Delphine games on it, which, that's just a travesty. Because Delphine is Delphine, and they're great. They have that one artist whose name I don't remember. Yeah, it's got Eric Chahi on it for the art, which is like the biggest plus that you're gonna get in these things, because he is just like a magical creature of just art and shapes and color. Future Wars I prefer to Another World. Unpopular opinion, probably. But all those, like... Now, Another World wasn't actually... Was it Delphine? Oh, yeah, okay. So, like, all those Delphine games are, like... They're quite artsy, but they are quite good. I'm gonna go A tier. That's an A-B for me. I gave Monkey Island a B. The only problem, the problem with Future Wars, and with, what's that other game? Operation Stealth. Yeah, those are the two Delphine games that come to my mind, right off the bat. They both suffer from a thing that Delphine did, and it'd be like you'd solve a few puzzles, Both of the games are quite short also, but you'd solve a few puzzles and it'd be like, okay, this is the gameplay loop, I get it. And then they just constantly throw in these awful arcade sequences, which Sierra did as well, but not like Delphine just leaned on those things, especially for Operation Stealth. Future Wars is a little less egregious, but they both suffer from that, which again makes them a pain to play. Hence the B. But they are good. Just not that good. Harvester's great. What can you say bad about Harvester? Besides that you can't show it to your mom. It's just or sit down and play it, in the living room. As a young one, no, but Harvester is fantastic. It's a video game that's violent about violence in video games. That's the meta. Nah, it's in that regard, like, and the guy who wrote it's kind of crazy. I hate to use the word crazy because we don't want to stigmatize mental health here at Iraq's Life, but he's kind of a freaking nut job. He did an interview not too long ago, and he's a bit of an odd fellow. But interesting game. I mean, that is an interesting idea that was well executed, and it's also kind of funny. So, Harvester's an A to S. I mean, I'll put it A. Because it's not quite Darkseid funny, but it is a good experience. I highly recommend sitting down and playing Harvester. Fate of Atlantis. Ooh, another good A. Fate of Atlantis is a situation. It's got the LucasArts, like, magic. It's got the verb coin interface, which I don't really like. But it's Indiana Jones. And thematically, like, insofar as adaptations of source materials, it is just freaking just dead on to Indiana Jones, the films. I mean, it is... Fate of Atlantis, in my mind, is as canon as you're gonna get for one, like, for an adaptation like that. Or I suppose like an extended universe in some sense. It's just fantastic. And this is a really unpopular opinion, I actually like Doug Lee's take on the Indiana Jones, like, voice and affect at least as much, if not more, than Harrison Ford. And obviously they're both good. But, that's picking between, which shade of gold is better. But I don't know, I like the white gold in this instance. I mean, Doug Lee really does a great job in that game. Recommend Fate of Atlantis. Realms of the Haunting. Ooh, that's S tier. And this is the only game on this list that's gonna be highly rated because it's really fun to play. Yeah, I know. That's like, with adventure games, that's crazy. Because normally it's like, they don't really have gameplay because they're not video games precisely. They're more like choose your own adventure books that occasionally ask you to like figure out something weird. But not Realms of the Haunting. It's got all the puzzles and all the fun pixel art and everything. But then it's also got this great 2.5D FPS. Just beautifully integrated, and it is a blast to play. And the acting in it as well, because it's got FMV. It's really just the holy combination of everything I like about this business. It's a great game. It's a little hard. If you've played at least other FPSs, but really other 2.5Ds, if you've played Doom or Duke Nukem or Blood or Shadow Warrior or whatever, you'll have a much easier time than going in flat. But even if you haven't, I mean, I do recommend it. Still, just, you know, it is a bit tricky. Adamantly. Fantastic game, though. D. D. D's trash. I gave Normality F. Normality, and here's the thing about what's happening right now. Normality is not... Yeah, you know what? Actually, Normality at least is like... has some of that like British... it's almost like a prog rock, right? You know, or like power ballads and stuff, really. It's actually kind of like, that is one good thing. There are no good things in D. D is awful. It's dark, it's not fun, it's not interesting, it's stupid, it's short, and it's dumb, and it's bad. Probably, no, yeah, that is the worst adventure game on this entire thing. It's worse than Space Quest 5, and you know how I feel about Space Quest 5. Frickin' Space Quest 5. But it's not as bad as D. It isn't. Nothing is worse than D. I don't even recommend... like, I recommended Normality if you like bad games. I don't recommend D if you like bad games. It's not even a game. It's just pain. It's awful. It's awful. It's terrible. I played through it. I know what I'm talking about. Leisure Suit Larry. Leisure Suit Larry. Leisure. What do they call him? Leisure Suit Larry. Do other people call him? Anyways, Leisure Suit Larry is a bit of a mixed bag. Some of them are kind of funny. Like Shape Up or Shift Out. Ship Out. Not Shift Out. That wouldn't make any sense. Which one is that? 5? I think. I don't even know them all like that. I haven't played whatever was after 5. If there is 6. Or I haven't played after 4. I don't know. I haven't played all of them. And honestly, they're kind of a mixed bag between. I mean, it's a game about being a sleazy person in a leisure suit who is kind of a munted, ugly person, but sometimes coerces and like is just focused on just having sex with women, period. And that's it. That's the game. I'd say it hasn't aged really well, but I remember playing it when I was young and thinking, yeah, that's not quite hitting for me. Some of them are okay, but others, especially after the fact, were just or as sleazy as Larry. That's a C. I mean, Nah, it's a D. I gave Space Quest a D. Oh, Black Delilah. Yeah. Black Delilah is awesome. Same people who did Seventh Guest. Crazy. I know. I think. Yeah, I'm fairly certain. But the difference is that we're a Seventh Guest, as I said, the one thing it really lacks is a cohesive, I was about to say the word vibe, but a thematic drive, a point, if you will. It's a game without a point. Black Delilah has that, and it has the weird FMV, and it has, like, Hitler flags, and just some real fun dialogue, and it's just a good war game, honestly. I recommend Black Delilah. I guess I should put the stipulation though. If you don't like, really hard to play. As some of these FMV games are really a pain to play, so that's fair warning on that. King's Quest, also impossible to get running. Anyways, King's Quest. I was always told that King's Quest is actually much better with Absinthe. I've never tried this. I'm willing to believe that that's probably true. But that's about my review of it. It's honestly, there's not even ones that I really like. It's like normality. You could play it to laugh at it, but otherwise, honestly, I feel like King's Quest is even more rushed and even more nonsense. It's got all the worst aspects of Space Quest, but just worse. I don't recommend playing King's Quest, and some people seem to like it. Like, they'll be like, "Oh, King's Quest, what a classic!" Like, what King's Quest are you playing? That's your opinion. I disagree. Of the three quests, Police Quest is the one worth playing. Opinion. And Ripper. Wow. And Ripper. Can't go wrong with Ripper. Actually, for this one, we're gonna have to go up to S+, because that is the best game on this entire list. It's got everything. It's got insane, asinine puzzles. It's got horrible puzzles. It's got 2.5D. It's also got 3D that doesn't look good at all. It's all pre-rendered, of course, but even then, it's like got these weird fluidy textures that none of them map to the meshes at all. And it's FMV. And it's not just FMV where, like, Phantasmagoria has some people. Christopher Walken, John Rice Davies, Karen Allen, Paul Giamatti. It has just an all-star cast in an FMV video game that's otherwise fairly straightforward mechanically, but actually has a really interesting story. Like, so that it's just peak adventure game for me, basically. It's got the humor, right? Laughing at Christopher Walken in a trench coat just every time he walks on camera, because it's just hilarious. It's got that. It's got the 2.5D environmental design that makes Realms of the Haunting good. And then it has just the actual quality writing, like Fate of Atlantis and Loom and Beneath the Steel Sky. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Fantastic story. It's a mystery story where Christopher Walken did it. I'm kidding. Maybe. So that's my peak adventure game. Gotta go Ripper. Now I can't see the whole thing on the screen. So that was clearly poorly thought out. Alright. That looks about right to me. What do you think? Would you have put King's Quest higher? Are you one of those people? Go ahead, we can fight. Let's take it outside. Trying to think of... Like I said, there's some notable exceptions here. Sam & Max, Grim Fandango, which... Oh, actually, is Grim Fandango a 90s adventure game? Okay. Alright, it's good. Grim Fandango was 98. I remember it being later, but I think I just played it a little later. Honestly, it looks kind of good for 98. I guess not. It's just adventure games are weird. So that's a notable exception. Another would be... Day of the Tentacle, which a lot of people really like. I've never played it. So that is why that one is missing. Fun little fact there. Never played Day of the Tentacle. I've heard it's good. A few other exceptions would be, I think I said Sam & Max at the beginning. Full Throttle I've never played. Gabriel Knight I've not played enough of to have an opinion. Some people say those are quite good. I'm sure there's others. Riven I don't like. Sanitarium I've never played. I'm really racking my brain. I want to say there was a Discworld game. I don't remember. That could have just been a dream I had. Do we count Dark Eye? I don't know. I've never played it. Bad Mojo I don't like. People do for reasons. I don't know. I think that's everything. That is exhausting my 90s adventure game knowledge. Though it is worth adding, for my own 90s adventure games that I make, even though it's not the 90s, but, you know, shut up. Bittersweet, I give a, I gotta give that a, I gotta put that, well, I don't want to give my own game a C, so we'll give it a B. You know, it's worth playing. You can find it at freaking thinkingofcremation.itch.io, and you can play it, and it's an adventure game, and you know it's a B. Graphically, it's hot trash, but it's got some cool music and really good writing. Mostly, I mean, again, it kind of lives on just having a really solid story. That's mine, and I can say that about my own thing. Graphically, not so great. The puzzles, hit or miss. There's some that I think work well and really work with the narrative. There are others that felt a little just sort of ham-fisted, a little thrown in. But, you know, all in all, okay, that's my list. I'm done.